Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast, the only show that breaks down the greatest story ever told, chapter by chapter.
Today, we are on chapter 44, The Three Chefs.
And let me tell you, this chapter introduces one of the single most important character-defining moments in the entire East Blue. We see a man, a pirate, beaten and thrown into the dirt for being hungry.
And we see the one person who defies the rules of his own home to show him kindness.
It's the moment that solidifies everything. If you want to be here for every single moment that builds the legendary crew of the future Pirate King, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an anchor drop. Now let's get into it, because Luffy is about to find his chef.
We open right where we left off. Luffy is staring down a year of indentured servitude at the Baratie, and he is, predictably, not having it.
He's trying to negotiate, like, a year? That's way too long. I gotta go be king of the pirates. And Zeff is just not hearing it. He's like, you broke my roof, you wrecked my leg, you work. The logic is so simple, so direct. There's no arguing with it. You broke it, you bought it. Or in this case, you work it off.
It's pirate logic. A debt must be paid. And Luffy, for all his chaos, actually seems to understand that on some level. He's not running away. He's just trying to haggle the terms, which is hilarious. He's treating this like a negotiation at a fish market, not a sentence handed down by a former pirate captain.
He has absolutely no concept of consequences. He just barrels through life, and when someone puts up a wall like this, he's just baffled. What do you mean I have to stay here? I have things to do. But Zeff is an immovable object, and then he offers Luffy an alternative.
Yes, a much faster way out. You wrecked my leg, so I'll take one of yours. And he says it so calmly, pointing his peg leg right at Luffy. The framing of that panel is incredible. Just Zeff sitting there, completely nonchalant, offering to maim a teenager.
That's not a joke. He would absolutely do it. There is zero doubt in my mind that if Luffy had said, okay, fine, Zeff would have had a cleaver out in a second. This is his code. It's brutal. It's transactional. It's a perfect encapsulation of the harshness of the sea. An eye for an eye, a leg for a leg.
It immediately establishes who Zeff is. He's not just some restaurant owner who happens to have a peg leg. He is a captain. He runs his ship, this restaurant, with an iron will and a very specific, very brutal code of honor. He's not a villain like Morgan or Buggy driven by ego or greed. He's driven by this rigid, unbreakable set of rules he's forged through a lifetime of experience on the Grand Line.
And Luffy, of course, just yells at him. He doesn't even process the threat. He just gets mad at the audacity. He calls him shitty old geezer and gets kicked in the face for it again. This is already their entire dynamic. Argument, insult, kick. Repeat. It's like watching a father and a very, very dumb son.
There's a strange kind of affection in it already. Zeff could have done much worse than a simple kick. It's disciplinary, not malicious. He's trying to beat some sense into him, which, as we know, is a fool's errand. While that's happening, we cut to another chef, Patty, getting ready for service.
Oh, Patty. He's adjusting his bow tie, talking about greeting customers with a smile and the highest quality service. He seems like the professional one, right? The maitre d', the guy who keeps things running smoothly.
But then we see the details. He's got his tie on wrong, his cuffs are mismatched, he's a bit of a mess. It's a great little piece of character design. It's visual storytelling that tells you everything you need to know. This place, the Baratie, presents itself as a high-class establishment, but underneath the surface, it's rough, chaotic, and barely holding itself together. It's a pirate ship wearing a tuxedo.
Exactly. It's all a facade. And that facade doesn't just crack, it shatters completely when he walks into the dining room and finds Sanji holding a bloodied Fullbody by the throat.
What an entrance for our boy. Sanji, we just met him last chapter, cool and collected, flirting with Nami, and now he's got a Marine lieutenant dead to rights, looking absolutely furious with his foot on the table. The shift in demeanor is jarring and immediate.
The other chefs are just like, oh great, Sanji's at it again. This isn't a one-time thing. This is just Tuesday for them. You can tell this is part of Sanji's regular routine. Someone disrespects the restaurant, a customer, or the food, and Sanji just goes off.
Fullbody's trying to pull rank, spouting off about his position, threatening to have the Marines shut the place down. He still believes his authority means something here. He hasn't understood that he's left the jurisdiction of the world government and entered the sovereign territory of the Baratie.
He picked the wrong restaurant to be an ass in, that's for sure. And Sanji's response is just ice cold. It gives me chills. He just says, well, I can't let you leave alive then. No hesitation, this isn't a bluff. He was fully prepared to murder a Marine lieutenant in the middle of a crowded dining room to protect the restaurant.
It shows you what the Baratie is. It's not just a business to him. It's a home. It's his territory. Sanji is one of its chief defenders. Fullbody threatened his family and his sanctuary. And for Sanji, the only logical response to such a threat is total elimination. The other chefs have to physically pull him off Fullbody.
And right in the middle of this chaos, this life or death struggle, who comes crashing through the ceiling?
Luffy and Zeff, of course, still arguing.
The comedic timing is just genius. The tension is at its absolute peak. Sanji is about to kill a man and then crash. The mood is instantly broken. They land in a heap, get up, and immediately start yelling at each other again, completely oblivious to the murder that was about to take place. Luffy's priorities are always so perfectly, hilariously out of whack.
But Zeff isn't oblivious for long. He takes one look at the scene, sees Sanji with his foot on the table, and his entire demeanor shifts. The other chefs are begging him to do something, complaining that Sanji is always causing trouble. They see Sanji as a liability.
And Zeff handles it. With kicks, of course. That seems to be his only tool for management. One sharp kick to Sanji's head to get his attention, then he turns the Fullbody, who's still blustering about the Marines, and just kicks him right out the door. Problem solved. No paperwork, no discussion, just swift, violent eviction.
It's the act of a captain. He disciplined his unruly crewmate and repelled a boarder. Fullbody gets the last word, though. As he's being thrown out, he screams that these chefs are no better than pirates.
And he's 100% right. He says it as an insult, but it's the most accurate description of them we could get. They live by their own rules, they solve their problems with their fists and feet, and they answer to one man. Their captain, Zeff. This is a pirate crew that serves food.
It's a sovereign nation in the middle of the ocean. They don't care about the world government or the Marines. They have their own laws, their own king, and their own methods of enforcement. Fullbody just learned that the hard way.
But it's not over for him. He doesn't get to just walk away from this humiliation. As he's dusting himself off, one of his subordinates runs up, completely panicked.
Their prisoner has escaped, the man they captured 3 days ago.
Jin, of the Krieg Pirates.
And what's crucial is that 7 of Fullbody's men couldn't stop him, even after he was found starving and hasn't eaten in 3 days. This is brilliantly setting the stakes. This isn't just some random mook. This guy is dangerous.
Fullbody's arrogance here is astounding. He just dismisses it. He's starving. What can he do? He completely underestimates how dangerous a desperate man can be. He's so wrapped up in his own wounded pride from being kicked out of the restaurant that he can't see the real threat right in front of him.
Which is a mistake he pays for instantly. The subordinate is trying to apologize, and a pistol enters the frame. A single shot, and the Marine goes down. We don't even see Jin's face at first. Just the gun, the sound effect, and the result. It's so cold and efficient.
The man just walks past him without a second glance. No remorse, no hesitation. It's Jin, and he is a terrifying presence from the moment we see his face. The scars, the bandana, the dead look in his eyes.
The entrance is legendary. He walks into the Baratie, doesn't say a word, and just puts his feet up on a table like he owns the place. The absolute confidence on this guy, even when he's about to collapse from hunger. He's radiating menace.
The other customers are terrified, but Patty, the chef from earlier, walks right up to him, and he's surprisingly polite. He cleans the table, calls him sir, and asks for his order.
Yeah, it's a weird moment. You think, oh, okay, maybe these guys respect strength above all else. This guy just shot a Marine outside their door and walked in like a badass. So maybe Patty is showing deference to that power. It seems for a second like that's their code.
But then Jin says he has no money. He offers to pay with bullets instead. And just like that, the entire dynamic flips.
Patty's professionalism evaporates. He smashes Jin in the head with a club, furious that he broke one of Zeff's chairs. It was never about strength. It was never about respect. It was about one thing: money.
This reveals the true code of the Baratie, or at least the code that most of the chefs live by. It's not about strength, it's about commerce. A customer is king. A non-customer is trash. It's like Patty's philosophy is, our customers are gods. But if you can't pay, you're not a customer. You're a problem to be disposed of.
It's brutal. It's so much worse than just turning him away. Patty and the other chefs just start kicking this starving man while he's on the ground, beating him senseless, and the other customers are cheering them on. It's a really dark, ugly scene. It shows the worst of this world.
It's the law of the jungle, or in this case, the law of this very specific, harsh sea. If you can't contribute, you are a burden to be cast out. This is survivalism taken to its most cruel extreme. On a ship, resources are limited. A freeloader is a threat to everyone, so they literally throw him outside.
And what's Fullbody doing during all this? He uses the chaos to just sneak away. He doesn't even check on his man that got shot. He's a coward through and through, a perfect foil to the kind of honor, however twisted, we see in the pirates.
But the chapter doesn't end there. Outside, Jin is lying in the dirt, clutching his stomach, believing he's about to die. And then a plate of food is placed in front of him.
It's Sanji. He went against everyone. He went against the entire philosophy of his home. He saw a hungry man and nothing else mattered. He cooked for him. This one simple, quiet act of defiance is one of the loudest character statements in the whole series.
Jin is in disbelief. He can't comprehend it. He thinks it's a trick, that it's poisoned. After the cruelty he just experienced, kindness is the most suspicious thing in the world. But Sanji just tells him to eat. There's no ulterior motive. It's that simple. Eat.
And when Jin takes that first bite, his reaction is everything. The art is so powerful. His eyes go wide. He's crying. He says it's the best food he's ever had in his life. He's just shoveling it in, overwhelmed by this simple act of kindness after so much cruelty. He's not just eating food. He's consuming compassion.
This is the moment. This is the heart of Sanji's character laid bare for us to see. For him, there is a moral law that is higher than any restaurant policy, higher than Zeff's rules, higher than social convention. You do not let a person starve, period.
It's not just about being nice. It's a sacred duty to him. You can see it on his face as he watches Jin eat. He's not looking for thanks. He just looks so satisfied. He's almost serene. Seeing someone enjoy his food, seeing someone nourished by his craft, that is his true reward. The cigarette smoke curling around his face, it's just one of the coolest moments in early One Piece.
And who's been watching this whole time from the broken hole in the deck?
Luffy. He saw the whole thing. He saw Patty's brutality. He saw the cruelty of the other chefs and the customers. And then he saw Sanji's quiet defiance. He saw his compassion. He saw the principle behind the action.
And we get that final, perfect line from him as he looks down with a smile. I've found him, my cook.
That's the punch. It wasn't the fight with Fullbody that impressed him. He wasn't looking for the cool kicks or the tough guy attitude. He saw the one thing that truly matters for a member of his crew, a good heart. He saw a man with an unbreakable principle, a man who would stand against his own people to do what he believes is right. That's the kind of person Luffy wants by his side.
It's exactly how he chose Zoro. He didn't see Zoro's three-sword style and think, I want that power on my team. He saw him being tied to a post, starving, all to keep a promise to a little girl. He saw his conviction and his loyalty, even when facing death. For Luffy, strength of character is the truest form of strength.
It's just so good. This is the foundation of the crew's 3 strongest fighters being built right here. We have Zoro, the man who will never lose again for his captain. We have Luffy, the man who will be king. And now we have Sanji, the man who will feed anyone who is hungry. It was never about his fighting ability for Luffy. It was about this one plate of food. Super.
It also makes you wonder why Sanji feels this so strongly. A conviction that powerful, a moral absolute that you would defy your own family for, usually comes from experience. There's a story behind it. A person doesn't develop a phobia of starvation in a vacuum.
Absolutely. You don't develop a code like that out of nowhere. Something happened to him. He knows what it's like to starve. He has to. That's the only explanation for why this is such a sacred, non-negotiable rule for him. We're seeing the what, but the why is still a mystery, and it's compelling.
And something is about to happen to the Baratie. Jin is a member of the Krieg pirates. Their captain, Don Krieg, was mentioned as the commander of a huge pirate armada, the most infamous pirate in the East Blue. Jin being here is not a coincidence.
This single act of kindness might have just painted a giant target on the Baratie's back. Don Krieg isn't going to show up and pay his subordinates' bill. He's going to show up and take the whole damn restaurant. He's going to see it as a supply ship.
Which makes Sanji's decision even more poignant. He knew Jin was a pirate, likely a dangerous one. He heard the name Krieg Pirates, and he fed him anyway. Because that's who he is. His compassion is so complete that it makes no distinction between friend or foe, civilian or pirate. If you are hungry, he will feed you. The consequences are secondary.
By the way, speaking of creators, the author comment this week was about going to the voice actor auditions for the anime.
Oh, that's fascinating. What did he say?
He said the power of their voices in person was amazing, and that he couldn't wait to see Luffy and the gang actually talking. Can you imagine? The creator, who has had these characters living in his head for years, hearing their voices out loud for the first time, hearing Mayumi Tanaka bring Luffy to life.
It's a nice thought that the story was already becoming something bigger than just the pages he was drawing. It was coming to life in a new medium. It must have been an incredible moment for him, a confirmation that his creation was resonating.
Yeah, and this chapter is a perfect example of that life. So much character, so much heart, so much world building and foreshadowing packed into just a few scenes. Incredible stuff.
It's a perfect setup. We have our new crewmate identified, we have a looming threat on the horizon in Don Krieg, and we have the central conflict of the arc established, the clash between the Baratie's harsh survivalist rules and Sanji's boundless, perhaps reckless, compassion.
Exactly. What a chapter. I'm so hyped to see what happens next.
Let us know what you all think in the comments. Is Sanji's philosophy of feeding everyone, no matter what, a strength or a weakness in the world of One Piece? We'd love to hear your take.
All right, time for predictions. What do you think is coming in Chapter 45? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Prediction 1. Jin is going to become fiercely loyal to Sanji. Not to the restaurant, just to Sanji. He's going to be a complicated ally because his captain is the enemy, but he owes Sanji his life. I see him trying to warn Sanji or protect him when Don Krieg arrives.
An interesting conflict. I can see that.
Prediction 2. We're going to get the full introduction of Don Krieg, but not in person. I think Jin is going to tell the story of what happened to their fleet in the Grand Line. We'll get the exposition dump explaining why the most powerful pirate fleet in the East Blue is in tatters.
A flashback through dialogue. That feels very plausible. Okay, my turn.
Lay it on me.
Prediction 1. Zeff will confront Sanji about feeding Jin, not to punish him, but to test him. He saw the whole thing too, I'm sure of it. He'll want to know why Sanji broke the rules, and Sanji's answer will be the key to Zeff eventually letting him go with Luffy.
Oh, I like that. A philosophical debate between the two chefs. The old guard's pragmatism versus the new generation's idealism.
Exactly. And my second prediction, Luffy is going to formally ask Sanji to join the crew, and Sanji is going to refuse, flat out. He'll say his place is at the Baratie, and he has a debt to Zeff. This won't be an easy recruitment.
Bro, you're so right. He's too loyal to just pack up and leave. He might cause trouble, but he clearly loves that place and those people, even Patty. Luffy is gonna have to earn him, probably by protecting the restaurant from whatever is coming.
That's what I think. The fight for the Baratie will be the fight for its chef.